Welcome back to Miss B Biology, and today our title is The Blood. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to describe the components of the blood, state the function of each blood component, and evaluate risk related to the use of blood products. Grab your pen and grab your books and let us begin. So the first thing that you need to know is the blood is a tissue. It is made up of a yellow fluid called plasma. In this plasma, you'll find red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. And this is why the blood is considered to be a tissue, because it is made up of cells, red blood cells and white blood cells. All right, so this diagram is showing you the plasma, the white blood cell, and the red blood cells. Okay, let's make some notes now. So subheading, please to write this in your book, the blood plasma. This is the fluid part of the blood and it is yellow in color. Please to make that note. The function of the plasma is to transport. It transports both useful and waste products. Some of the waste products transported by the plasma include carbon dioxide, and this carbon dioxide is produced by your cells in aerobic respiration. Urea is another example of waste transported by the plasma. Urea is formed in your liver and is transported to your kidneys and is excreted in the urine. Useful substances now transported by your plasma would be digestive products such as glucose and amino acids. Remember, when you digest carbs, your digestive system will break this down to glucose, and proteins are broken down to amino acids. These are useful substances transported by the plasma. Other useful substances include water, hormones, ions, antibodies, and enzymes. So from this slide, ensure that you know the function of the blood plasma, which is to transport, and then ensure that you know examples of products or substances transported by the plasma. Good. Next subheading, red blood cells. The function of the red blood cell is to transport oxygen from the lungs to the body cells. So when your blood reaches the alveoli of the lungs, you'll have oxygen moving into the blood, and the oxygen will find the hemoglobin that is found in your red blood cell and bind to it. And that is how oxyhemoglobin is produced. The blood is then transported to your tissues, to your body cells, and the oxygen will be released into the cells so that the cells can use that oxygen for aerobic respiration. So remember now, the function of the red blood cell is to transport oxygen from the lungs to your body cell. Next subheading, red blood cell adaptations. They have a biconcave disc shape, and this increases surface area. They are packed with a red pigment that is called hemoglobin, and remember, this is what the oxygen would bind to. And so, having this increased surface area, you would have more hemoglobin present so that more oxygen can bind, right? So that's the importance of having that increased surface area. Lastly, no nucleus is present in the red blood cell, and this allows for more space for hemoglobin, because remember, the nucleus is considered to be the largest organelle in the cell. And so if the red blood cell had nucleus, then less space would be there for hemoglobin. It means that less oxygen would be transported to your body tissues. Next subheading is white blood cells. So white blood cells, they are bigger than red blood cells and they have a nucleus. Function of the white blood cell is to defend the body against foreign matter. And there are two main types, lymphocytes, that's the one to the right, and lymphocytes are responsible for producing antibodies against pathogens and antitoxins against toxins. And then we have the phagocytes to the left, and the phagocytes are responsible for engulfing and digesting pathogens. So both white blood cells, both types, are responsible for defending the body against pathogens. Lastly, platelets. Platelets are small fragments of cells. They have no nucleus and their function is very important. It's to help the blood to clot at the site of wounds. So when you get a cut, right, it is the platelets that help to form that clot. And that clot is important because it stops you from bleeding to death and prevent the entry of bacteria. Last objective, evaluate risk related to the use of blood products. Students, what I'd encourage you to do is to go to your exams board website, find the command word list and learn them. Look at the description. You need to understand the description. You need to understand what the examiners are asking you for so that you can score maximum marks. Your command words would be words such as evaluate, describe, state. Those are examples, right? So when you're asked to evaluate, you need to consider several options, ideas, or arguments and come to a conclusion about their importance, their success, or their worth, right? So looking at this statement, we're evaluating the risks related to the use of blood products. So what we're doing is looking at the pros and the cons of using blood products. We're looking at the advantages and the disadvantages of using blood products. That's what we're doing, looking at both sides. We're looking at several options. Hope you understand that as of today. So here are some of the pros or the advantages of using blood products, right? And this came from donated blood. So one, the donated blood can be used to replace blood loss from injury. People with clotting issue, for example, people with hemophilia, they can be given extracted platelets so that their blood can now start clotting. They don't have to become infected from bacteria or they would not bleed to death. Number three, blood proteins such as antibodies can also be extracted and used. So these are the pros and the or the advantages of using blood products. Let us now look at the cons or the disadvantages of using blood products. So one, the blood type must be the same, otherwise the patient's immune system will reject the blood. Number two, the blood could contain pathogen which could cause serious diseases. But the good thing is that blood is screened for pathogen before used for blood transfusion. Good? Quiz time. So let's see how much you can remember or how much you have learned from what we went through just now. So first question, name two substances transported by the plasma. Very good. If you said any of these, very good. Number two, which blood component helps blood to clot at wound? Platelets, very good. Number three, which blood component defend the body against microorganisms? Very good, white blood cells. Lastly, which blood component transport oxygen to respiratory tissues? Very good, red blood cells. Thank you so much again for watching. I hope that you have learned quite a bit about the blood and I hope that you'll do well in your exams. Bye bye.